any pursuit one has, whether you're trying to become a writer or a filmmaker or a YouTuber or whatever it may be, you usually start on the right path. And you're like, I'm going to do things the right way. I'm not going to skip any corner, cut any corners. And I know it's going to take a bit more time, but I'm going to do it this way. But then as you go along, as you get discouraged, as you see others taking the shortcut and apparently being rewarded for it, getting more money, more fame, more rewards from the world, it's very tempting to take that shortcut as well. And to do so thinking that, okay, now I'm going to take the shortcut and I'll do things, if I'm a writer, well, maybe I'll write about things that I don't really like to write. And I know I shouldn't write about, but are more engaging. Maybe I'll make the title of my things a bit more controversial. And I'm going to do a bit more of these optimizations. And as one does that, and you get a bit, I don't doubt that you're going to get more quote unquote success and more money and more fame and all these things. But what one realizes is that the summit you were trying to go to, this shortcut gets you a bit higher from the ground, but it can never take you there. It leads to a dead end. A dead end that forces you to recognize that this path has its limitations. It will never take you where you want to go. And to get to where you want to go, you're going to have to go back to where you were. You're going to have to go back to that point where, it feels more difficult. It feels like you're going to have to grind it out a bit in the beginning, where a lot of times doesn't even seem, you can't really understand fully how it's going to work. But the big problem here, the sort of misconception we have, is that if I take the shortcut and I get a bit more money, a bit more fame, a bit more whatever, then it's going to be easier from that point to continue to the top. But it is not. And it never is. A lot of times it's more difficult because if you have built not only a reputation of this way, but also the habits that come with it and, the temptations that come with it, it can be borderline impossible. It can be much, much harder. If you think about it, let's say whoever, I don't even know the name, whoever wrote some book that is not that good, like some smut books that are very popular nowadays. Let's say they sold a lot. Let's say they're millionaires. Wow, and very famous in that genre. If now they were to attempt under the same name to go ahead and be like, I'm going to transition. I'm going to write a fiction book like Lord of the Rings or something more complex, like some Dostoevsky type of thing. You would not be able to, because either your reputation is ruined at this point, or maybe you would be able to do it, but you'd have to go back to the beginning and you have to learn how to do things the right way and how to not cut any corners and how to actually sit with these ideas for years, developing them, ironing out the details and not cutting the corners that now you've learned how to cut. And that's why sometimes it makes it harder, because you know that shortcut is there and you have mastered it. And so it becomes very, very difficult that way. However, if you are someone that right now, either you're at the beginning of your pursuit or you're more focused in the rewards of the world, wealth, fame, maybe there's a house you want to buy, whatever it may be, you may tell me like, oh, but why would I want to do things the right way if what I want is just the reward? Maybe for some people that are more creative and want to do things another way, if I just want that reward, the reward from the world, why not cut the corners? Why not do things a bit not as ideally, but then get that? And then I would ask you, okay, but let's assume you do that and you get the things you want and then you get to that point, what would you do after that? After you have retired and you don't have to work anymore, now you have the money and the things you want, what would you do? Would you not then try to do something, maybe a different thing, but wouldn't you try to do something the right way? You probably would, whether that's playing golf or fishing or writing or starting a YouTube channel, whatever it may be, because now you have that time and that money and whatever, you'd be like, now I'm going to do things the right way. And what a lot of people find, both the person that does it the right way and the one that doesn't, and it's just after the rewards of the world, when they do climb to a point that they like and they get there, both of them, I believe, find rewards from the world. Perhaps one of them didn't search for them and the other did, but I do believe both of them are rewarded. The difference is that the person that did things right and after has gotten these things, they get there with a much more appreciation and love for their craft. And in a lot of ways, it's wanting to continue that. And now that you have a bit more money and a bit of more free time and whatnot, it allows you to continue this path in a better way. But the other person that gets there realizes just how big the void inside is. And now that you get the things that you thought were going to fill this void, you realize that they don't. And you realize that now you're going to have to go to the bottom of the mountain and you're going to have to climb it the right way. This is why so many people you see, rich people, quote unquote successful people, they say they would give everything they have nowadays to be young again. And I don't believe it's just because you get more time and you get to be more energized and whatever. No, it's because you have now gained the wisdom that made you realize that these things were not nearly as important as you thought they were. The money, the safety, whatever it was, you realize that you get them and then life goes on. And then you wake up and you get used to it and now only the void is there. And so what I say to that is that if you now stand at the bottom of the mountain, but with your youth, and perhaps the frustration that comes of not having the results you want, and the confusion and the feeling lost and all of that, you have to realize that you are in a point that the people that have what you now want would give it all to be in this point again. The problem, and I understand that, is that the one thing you can't have at that point is wisdom. Specifically, the wisdom of knowing just how blessed you are and of realizing that doing things the right way is actually the shortcut. The long way is actually the short way. Now, obviously, you cannot realize that right now. And, if you have all these feelings that you do want the rewards of the world and you do want to get these things, and then when you get there, you can do it correctly, well, you're just going to have to go through it, as many, many, many men before you have gone through it. But I would urge you to realize now, if you can, is at the very least, look at the examples of people that were in your situation that did it the right way and actually got rewarded for it. Can be musicians, can be clothing designers, can be athletes. Do yourself a favor and go and find those. The ones that did it their way and walked their path and did things correctly. And then go and see how they were rewarded for it. And then look at the others too. To mind comes, for example, Matthew McConaughey, that you did a funny example, I know, but you do a lot of romantic comedies, but you really don't want to be a serious actor. And at some point, he had to reject all of this, reject offers that at the time were of such immense money and wealth that it would be very hard to say no. Because you're saying no to then go take the risk in doing things the right way and learning how to act properly and better and how to become a true serious actor and go do movies that no one for the most part cares about and build that repertoire, hoping that then a serious director will take that risk on you. And well, they did. And now, we know that he's a very good actor that did a lot of good things, True Detective, Interstellar, etc., etc. But it does require, he got to that point and then he had to sort of go to the beginning somewhat, not fully, and of course there's nuance here, but he couldn't skip that part. No one can skip the long path. So please do yourself a favor, and I'm not even going to say to just do it, because that's pointless, but go look for the examples. Go look at what happened and be inspired by that.